Welcome back to Movies Outpost. Today we're going to dive into the world of an action thriller movie titled Hunter Killer. But be warned, there will be spoilers ahead, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. The movie kicks off with a tense moment as the USS Tomba Bay submarine stealthily trails the Russian submarine, Konik, in the Barents Sea. Despite being just 400 yards away from its target, the American sub manages to stay hidden. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocks the USS Tomba Bay, but the crew quickly realizes they're not under attack from the Konik. Instead, an unidentified submarine is attacking them from above. Frantically trying to evade the incoming torpedo, the crew is unable to descend to a safe depth in time, and the deadly projectile strikes the USS Tomba Bay. Admiral John Fisk has received news that the USS Tomba Bay is unaccounted for. This is highly concerning, as the submarine's communication equipment is functional, and there are no reports of adverse weather conditions in the vicinity. The submarine is now 2 hours overdue for its scheduled check-in. Fisk shares this information with Admiral Charles Donegan, who expresses greater worry regarding the classified technology aboard the vessel. While out hunting, Joe Glass receives a call instructing him to prepare for a helicopter ride to the base. Upon arrival, he discovers that he is to assume command of the USS Arkansas. XO Brian Edwards hands Glass an envelope containing the order from the 6th Fleet. After perusing the contents, Captain Joe Glass directs Edwards to recall the crew as they must depart imminently. Edwards informs Glass that the crew has been granted a 2-day leave, making it hard to find them. Glass tells him he'll help him start looking. Joe Glass's submarine is being readied, and the torpedoes are being loaded. He heads inside to inspect the crew and equipment. Glass announces the mission to locate the missing warship submarine and outlines his leadership style and expectations for the crew to follow his commands. As a maverick, he is prepared to drive his team to their limits to accomplish the task at hand. Admiral Fisk is approached by Jane Norquist, a member of the National Security Agency, who informs him of the urgent need to brief the president within the next hour. Despite her attempts to gather information from the Navy, she was unsuccessful. Fisk reveals that 2 explosions were detected at the Kola Peninsula, precisely where the U.S. submarine went missing. Norquist discloses that they have been monitoring the movements of the Russian president, who left for the location with his core security team just before the explosions took place. Apparently, he was scheduled to meet with his defense minister, Durov. We make our way to Tajikistan, where 4 Navy SEALs are running a training operation. Their commander is Beeman. They run the course and tell Martinelli to get to sniper position. He doesn't make it in time and gets a scolding. Later on, the commander is handed a document saying to make his way to Russia and see why the submarines have disappeared and to track the president's movements. Glass is informed by Cobb that the crew is on board and ready to go. He tries to give Glass a good luck coin for this mission, but Glass refuses to. He only carries 1 coin in his pocket, the one he got from his previous submarine. USS Arkansas is now headed to the Barents Sea. Glass commands to submerge the ship and set the depth to 300 feet. Upon arrival at the Polyarny Naval Base, Zakharin, the president of Russia, meets with his defense minister, Durov, who informs him that Washington has reached out. Durov further adds that they held off on responding until the president's arrival. The USS Arkansas submarine has advanced to a position within 40 miles of the Russian coast. Glass alerts his team that they may not be the first ones in the area and directs the deployment of a C-scan. Soon after, the device detects something, and as they approach, they discover the wrecked U.S. submarine and the deceased crew members. Glass instructs Jimenez, the operator, to move the C-scan towards the bow to investigate what caused the damage. To his surprise, he finds a colossal hull that appears to be from a torpedo attack. Glass orders his crew to take their battle stations and tasks a soldier with composing a message stating that the USS Tomba Bay was sunk due to enemy action. As the C-scan is in operation, it detects an unusual sound that seems to be coming from above them. Unknown to them, a submarine equipped with torpedoes is lurking, waiting to cause chaos. The Russians launch 2 torpedoes, but the USS Arkansas submarine evades them using countermeasure devices. Glass orders his crew to retaliate, but they struggle to pinpoint the exact location of the enemy vessel due to interference on the surface. The Russian submarine strategically positions itself in between icebergs. After multiple attempts to locate it, they finally succeed in pinpointing its location. They redirect a torpedo towards the target, successfully striking and destroying the Russian submarine in a beautiful explosion. Despite destroying the Russian submarine, the USS Arkansas is not yet out of danger as 2 torpedoes continue to approach. Glass realizes that they must devise a plan to avoid getting hit and decides to move the submarine to the position of the USS Tomba Bay. As the torpedoes draw closer, the USS Arkansas executes a sharp evasive maneuver to the right, causing the torpedoes to collide with the USS Tomba Bay instead. The resulting explosion is still strong enough to be felt from inside the USS Arkansas and could have potentially been the end for them. Upon learning that their submarine has been sunk by the Americans, the Russian president is advised by Durov to retaliate immediately. However, Zakharin says he will not attack without first speaking with the US president. Meanwhile, the message from the USS Arkansas reaches Admiral Fisk, revealing that the USS Tomba Bay was deliberately attacked by the Russians. Admiral Charles Donegan authorizes Fisk to position the nearest carrier battle group and informs him that he has already dispatched a Navy SEAL team led by Lieutenant Bill Beeman to Russia to find out their intentions. As they fly on top of storm clouds, the SEAL team throw their gear out of their plane and all jump out one by one. As they all soar through the storm clouds and lightning is all around them, they manage to stick the landing and go to their target location. They successfully position themselves in a safe location and deploy a surveillance device. However, they are unable to obtain clear footage due to heavy interference in the area. After a few moments, they successfully eliminate the interference and are finally able to see Durov, who seems to be on a mission of his own. Zakharin is angered by the deployment of the destroyer, which he did not authorize. Durov explains that they may be under attack, and as a precautionary measure, he has sealed off the base and terminated all communication. This is where Zakharin realizes that Durov is conducting a coup d'etat. He and his men are then taken outside, where they begin to execute his men. The Navy SEAL team and the personnel watching the live footage see this happening. The president is immediately briefed on what's going on, that Durov intends to start a war by making it look like the Americans are attacking. Admiral Donegan suggests that they must not allow Durov to gain a tactical advantage. Norquist has a different idea, that they are just dealing with a power-hungry man, and Durov is waiting for the Americans to engage. Fisk suggests that they rescue the Russian president and take him back to Moscow, where he can take back his position and end the conflict. Fisk says they already have a team in a position on the ground, and the president orders the closest carrier fleet into position just in case there is a need for confrontation. Once more, the C-scan is deployed, and this time it locates the sunken Konik, the Russian submarine. Glass and his team are stunned by the sight of a hole on the bow that seems to have been caused by a torpedo attack. However, the USS Tampa Bay denies having fired at the vessel. Upon closer inspection, it becomes evident that the attack was from their own, indicating that the submarine was deliberately destroyed to create the illusion of an American attack. Glass is determined to rescue any survivors, but his team is not so happy about the plan, since they still believe that Konik was responsible for killing their fellow soldiers. They fear that the Russians may retaliate after their submarine was destroyed earlier. Glass says that if the Russians had no involvement, they would have already attempted to save Konik. As a result, Glass orders the launch of Mystic to get closer to the Russian submarine, but the heavy currents make it difficult for the vessel to land. Despite the challenges, Mystic safely attaches to the submarine. Upon opening the latch, they discover 3 Russian survivors on the brink of death due to hypothermia. Glass welcomes them aboard and orders medical attention. He also orders that the captain of the Russian submarine to be isolated, and until further notice, they are considered prisoners of war. Glass briefs his team on a new mission. They have been ordered to travel to the heavily guarded Polyarny base to pick up a Navy SEAL team and rescue the Russian president. However, their biggest challenge will be reaching the location undetected, no matter how cautious they are. To help get around this, they require the assistance of a local navigator, so Glass approaches the Russian captain they rescued earlier for help, despite the captain's belief that the Americans were responsible for destroying their submarine. Glass presents evidence that the explosion originated from a torpedo from inside of the submarine, and seeks his assistance in rescuing Zakharin. Captain Andropov now takes control of the submarine, as he knows the area better than anybody. Edwards is furious about this plan, and finds it reckless as they will be exposing classified information. Despite the protest, Glass gives Andropov the authority, while going through a minefield with 100% trust as all devices have been turned off and the captain's mind is their navigation. They make it through the trench safely, as Glass instructs 2 men to wait and rescue the SEAL team and the Russian president with Mystic. The SEAL team gets locked and loaded as they go through the water in their scuba gear. Once emerged, they begin assassinating the enemy one by one. They scale the wall and kill 3 men as they put explosives on the door, killing the man behind it. All enemies start rushing, and the Navy SEALs are playing some Call of Duty as they're camping but absolutely destroying the Russians. They grab the president and climb down the wall as they set up a trap which goes off. They go behind cover and 1 man is dead. They dive into the water and swim to the other side as the sun starts to rise. The Russians then get into multiple vehicles in order to ambush them. As they approach a bridge ahead of the SEALs, the soldiers are suddenly ambushed and caught in a barrage of bullets and machine gun fire. Forced to take cover, they find themselves pinned down, and then the Russians begin to fall dead around them. The SEALs spot their sniper in position, taking out Russian soldiers with precision marksmanship. The SEALs also use the opportunity to destroy enemy vehicles before making their escape. Two soldiers guide the president to where Mystic is waiting for them, but as they make their way, one of the soldiers is killed. As Zakharin enters the mini-submarine and safely sits inside the Mystic, the other soldier goes back to the shore to rescue the stranded sniper. Meanwhile, USS Arkansas picks up a strong screw beat, and Captain Andropov identifies it as a Russian warship. The warship then initiates an attack on them, and Andropov and Glass must work together to survive the Russian assault. In an effort to evade the pursuing enemy, the submarine is forced to descend to the seafloor. While this provides temporary safety, it also inflicts some damage on the USS Arkansas. With the Russian warship, Yevchenko, closing in on them, the crew has no choice but to allow Captain Andropov to communicate with his former comrades on the warship, as he has trained them. He communicates to the captain of Yevchenko that he is on board the US submarine, and urges them to stand down. Despite this, Durov demands that Yevchenko destroy the USS Arkansas, but the captain of Yevchenko defies his orders and stops the attack. In the final moments of the movie, Glass receives a direct order from Admiral Donegan to fire at Yevchenko, leading to a tense standoff. Soon after, Polyarny Naval Base launches a missile attack against USS Arkansas under Durov's directive, but Yevchenko intercepts the missiles just before they hit their target. In response, the warship launches a missile attack on Polyarny, ultimately destroying the heavily fortified base and Durov's command center. Thanks for watching. I bet even Vladimir Putin couldn't resist the temptation of watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this and help the channel grow.